G'day Guardians, it's Matt here, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to get some pretty fast clears on this week's replayable mission on Master Difficulty, The Arrival. There's a couple reasons why you'll want to get in here and farm this, one being that Ascendant Alloy is a common drop which is crucial for high-end weapon crafting and for getting the Osteostriga Catalyst, as well as exotic armor pieces dropping from this too. So if you're unhappy with that absolute bin tier 46 stat roll exotic that you got from the legendary campaign, you can farm a better one a lot easier in here. On top of that, getting a nice easy clear on this mission on Master Difficulty will award you a pinnacle piece of gear and this Triumph. Even though the Triumph states any difficulty will unlock it, it only pops on Master Difficulty, which is either a typo or just a bug at the moment. To unlock the Master Difficulty, you'll need to rank up your Throne World reputation with Finch to level 13, which only takes an hour or two if you get into a fire team and farm patrols from each third of the map. Master Difficulty sits at 1580 light level, but it honestly doesn't feel too difficult. You have the ability to respawn after a short period, so if you make some bad positional plays, it's honestly not the end of the world. It's best if you don't though, and to try and play fairly optimized because this mission is super long and you'll always want to be pushing forward, skipping unnecessary ads along the way. What can be an easy 40-minute mission can be polished off to around 20 minutes with a good loadout and some practice. In terms of loadouts, I took a supportive role with the Blinding Ignition Code, Divinity, and a solar tracking rocket launcher. I did have Helm of Saint 14 on, but it wasn't really essential to the clear. Myself and my two fire team members, Cryptic and Rogi, were all running Protective Light with mods on their helmet to generate orbs. Unfortunately, I couldn't generate any with this loadout, but I was very happy to take theirs. Cryptic was running a Solar Warlock with Phoenix Protocol on, and Rogi had Omnioculus to help us stealth past all of the unnecessary parts in this mission. In terms of weapons, Rogi was using an Izanagi's Burden with a triple tap Breed's Regret, and Cryptic was rocking Galahorn. Don't overthink the damage for your fire team loadout, just something basic but practical will be totally fine. These options were a no-brainer for us since I was running Divinity, allowing Rogi to deal a lot of damage to the crit bubbles. Now that the boring stuff is out of the way, we'll go through the major beats in this mission. You'll notice in the opening areas throughout the start of the video are pretty standard and nothing too noteworthy is happening. When you get to that first room, just position yourself at the back with a well, and it'll give you an easy outlook of all the enemies coming in from each side. With the help of blinding grenades, it's not really a problem at all. Just pray that the solar shielded Cabal doesn't grief you like he did to me. Once you head outside, you'll head over to what looks like a bit of a rig. We positioned ourselves on the left hand side first and picked off the Unstoppable Champion and cleared out some of the ads. When you head up onto the top, the Cabal ships will absolutely decimate you, so this is where the bubble helped out a lot. We'd slow it down a little bit here and thin the herd before we touched the anti-barrier champion, but after all the ads were gone, we would then get rid of him. At this point, another ship will drop some more enemies back over on the left-hand side, and since the bubble isn't back up yet, Rogi would just keep us invisible the whole time until the ship would leave. Once that anti-barrier is dead, pick up the item and dunk it, and that's where we stealth our way over to the next part. It was at this point I forgot that we were actually stealthing over, and I got a little sidetracked by killing some of the ads. Thankfully, Rogi could get me out of there. In this second room, ads sort of spawn all over the place in waves. We found it best just to keep moving from side to side at the back of the room on the top. It meant that I could keep an eye on ads and keep them fairly blinded, and it gave me a clear line of sight for the champions to be able to divinity them. You can see that sometimes you can get a little pear-shaped in here, so having a bubble is good to just give some solid cover, and it gives everyone a chance to reset and come up with a game plan. After clearing the few waves of ads and dunking an object on each side, you can progress down into the piston room. After sprinting through a few corridors, you'll come across this pretty sweet arena looking room where there'll be an anti-barrier champion on the left and right, both accompanied with plenty of Cabal mages and ads. The strategy we used in this room was tackling it in a clockwise fashion. Rogi would open it up by throwing a tether on the left hand side, and I made sure that our flank was blinded so that the other two could move to the left in peace. From here, we just melt the champion and circle over to the other side and repeat. The ads can spawn on top of you in this room, so make sure someone's got something to deal with a pack of ads really quickly. After that anti-barrier is done, just head over to the middle and catch the elevator up. Once you get to the top, there'll be a small control room with a few scions in there. Just kill them and activate the switch. This will allow you to lift on over to the Throne World entrance. When you enter the door, there'll be some light platforming and some running through corridors to do. I often thought about how good Eager Edge might have been in here to speed things up, but unfortunately, Equipment Lock throws that idea out of the window every single time. Eventually, you'll come up to the ritual encounter, which gives me big Halo 2 vibes. There's essentially 3 waves in this mini encounter where wizards and anti-barrier champions will drop a ritual item that you need to dunk at the back of the room, completely opposite to where the rally flag was. In the first wave, there's 1 item, and in waves 2 and 3, there are 2 items each. We tackled most of wave 1 near the rally flag, just keeping ads at bay until it was a prime opportunity to burn the champion down. Don't fret if you die with the ritual buff like Cryptic did in our run, as the game spawns an enemy in to replace it for you. After we dunked the first one, we chose to set up at the back where the ritual spot is. If your anti-barrier player is on point, you can catch the first anti-barrier champ fairly quickly, leaving spawn at the top left. But same deal for the remainder of this wave and the third wave. Keep things blinded, work together, don't allow yourselves to get rushed and meleeed by the ads, and you'll be totally fine. Once you've dunked all 3 ritual items, it's time to move on. But immediately around the corner are 2 very cheeky anti-barrier champions that'll mess you up very quickly since there's no cover here. Coordinate an attack on one of them together and then immediately aim for the next one. After this, you'll do some jumping, avoid the moths, and you'll be making your way to the next room very easily. In here, I was expecting a lot more of a hectic fight on Master difficulty, and it didn't really deliver. Instead, it just popped my bubble in the middle and made sure that the ads were blinded in all directions. This allowed Rogi and Cryptic to rip through them pretty easily with weapons of light. Around the corner, an Unstoppable will spawn. It's best to just melt him straight away so that you can progress on and just run past everything else. Eventually, you'll make your way outside. You can either stealth past everything with invisibility, blind everything and run through, or just kill everything normally. We did a bit of everything in this run, but it's up to you. And lastly, the final part of the mission, the introduction of the Hive Guardian. This is basically the same as the ritual encounter. There's going to be 3 waves that you have to deal with, but before it kicks off, you'll have to take down the Hive Guardian, and obviously you'll have to do that twice. Divinity paired with some big DPS makes pretty quick work of him each time. We then just set ourselves up at the back of the room where the ritual spot is, since that gives us a clear look of where all the ads are spawning and where they come from in case they rush us. I'd do my best to make sure that everything was blinded and then turn to burn the first anti-barrier champion for the ritual item. The second enemy is just a standard wizard, and Rogi was able to stealth up and grab that ritual item all by himself, which speeds up the whole process pretty nicely. The last ritual item drops from the Unstoppable champion, but if you're like us and ignore the ads for a little bit too long, they can pile up and almost cause a wipe. After that third piece is dunked, you are finished, and hopefully rewarded with some Ascendant Alloy to help you out with your weapon crafting journey. If the guide helped you and your fire team out, or you just enjoyed watching the gameplay, it'd mean a lot for us if you dropped a like on this video. Rogi and I have got some big plans for Witch Queen now that it is in full force, and we can't wait to share some of this content with you. But that's everything from me, guys, and as always, take it easy, Guardians.